All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Love What You Do. My name is Sean Dolan, CEO of PushFire. And today we have the lovely Claudia Diaz. Claudia, say hi. How are you?
Hi, I'm great.
Hi.
How are you? Hi.
I'm good. So, Claudia, you and I have known each other for a few years now. Touching briefly on how we met, I was having sort of a public battle with the school district, and you and your husband kind of reached out. Your husband reached out and helped me navigate one of the most challenging times of my life, and I'll forever be grateful for you guys for that. I just think so highly of your family, and I think you guys are just amazing people. And I'm so happy for you to be on my podcast today and share all of the cool things about your life. So I just want to tell you, I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's get started by just discussing how out of your element this is for you being interviewed. Is that fair?
Yes, it is completely fair. I mean, it is really out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But you got to try things. You can't
You
just
got
run away from them.
for
Although
sure.
I tried a couple
I
times.
know when I refreshed the software, you were still here, and I was happy.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm very proud of myself.
yeah. So your husband tells me there is a story about you being an introvert and related to karaoke. I would love to hear it.
Oh no. Well, I think what he meant was that I was trying to explain how anxious I am at times,
Hmm.
and there was a time where we were at a coffee shop, and you were there, and
Yeah.
you told me, "Hey, there's a karaoke going on. You should bring your ukulele and come and play." And the mere fact that you said that caused me to start to perspire. Like I had like sweat building. I had sweat behind my, on my neck, and
Yeah.
it was hilarious. And so I told him that
That's
story
so
about I
funny.
don't think I'll ever be able to do that because he just mentioned it and
Just
that was
the
it.
thought
That's
of
all
it,
it took.
your body just freaked out. Yeah. It's like
Right.
immediate
Right.
fight or flight mode.
Yes. But
Yeah. So one of the big things that happened in your life recently was um, that you were featured in a local magazine for your art. Can you tell me about that?
yes, I was that was a shock. I entered an art show and it was in October and I won an award. I won two awards, and I won third in my division, and I got another award that was very sentimental and sweet. And
Mhm.
the Fort Bend Herald was there taking photographs, and an artist reached out and told me, hey, keep an eye out for the November edition because they took photographs of our work and I thought to myself, how fun would that be to be in an article or just to be in a magazine, right?
Yeah.
Well, she sent me the picture of the magazine a couple of days ago, and I I nearly fell off my chair. It was chosen, I guess, to be the cover of the magazine. It was chosen. I
I
shouldn't say I guess it
know.
was. And that was so exciting. And yeah, so it's on the
Yeah.
cover of the November issue.
I'm going to be superimposing a picture of that on this so people will see it. And it's so
Okay.
good and it's so cool because, like, I got updates on you working on that, and it came out so well. And it's like
Thank
it's your
you.
face with a butterfly, and it's such a nice piece. So it must feel so good to get that recognition.
Yes.
So when did art become a big part of your life? Was that something that you found early on or later on in life?
Well, I think I've always enjoyed it, even as a child. I've always,
Mhm.
I loved color. I loved to play outside with mud and create mud pies and
Nice.
just I was an outdoor kid, but I always danced. I would love to perform. My poor cousins, I would always grab them and make them choreograph with me, and we would come up with a little dance that they had to perform in front of the whole family, and they were mortified. But it's so funny. But when it comes to dancing and art and stuff, I don't feel as nervous. as I do
Mm,
doing other things. But yeah, that was
yeah.
me as a kid. It's always been part of my life. The Halloween, I love Halloween. You
Yeah.
kind of go all out and you can be another character and you have fun with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's always been in my life
Kind of a part of your
somehow.
personality. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So when it comes to art, were you self-taught? Did you take classes? Were you trained formally?
Well, actually, I did take two courses. I took drawing one and two in college as an elective, as
Hmm.
I was studying for accounting, and I saw my chance, and I said, I'm going to take it. Let's take some art and see what that's
Yeah.
about. So I took drawing one and two, and then I took a workshop for a couple months in Guatemala when we were stationed there.
Hmm.
But the majority of it has been just trial and error. Just kind of going for it. And hoping for the
And what,
best.
yeah, seeing what happens.
Right,
what
right.
what sort of mediums have you worked with? And what's your
I've
favorite?
I've worked with charcoal. I've done pencil. I've done watercolor. My favorite and the one that I'm working with currently is acrylic, and I like it
Okay.
because it's just so it dries fast. So you have to work fast.
Mm,
It's I feel like you have more creative um, like room. You can play with textures. You can
mm.
mix colors a lot easier. I just find it more fun to do. So acrylic is
Yeah.
my
I
my
like the
choice.
way acrylic dries. If I'm
Yes,
understanding, it's like it dries with a really nice, pretty shininess to it. So
yes,
I enjoy that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So can you tell us about what is behind you? Is that chalk? I don't know. When you said chalk, I immediately assumed what behind you was chalk, but maybe
Yeah, oh,
not.
this is
Yes.
a painting I just did. No, it's acrylic. This is acrylic,
Acrylic. Wow.
and yeah, acrylic on canvas. And I just, this is one of the pieces that I'm able to hold on for a little while before I have to turn it in to the
Yeah.
recipient. Yeah.
It looks great. It
So
looks great.
thank you,
Uh,
thank you.
so on that note, do you ever have what's kind of the difference as an artist? As an artist, you're like a free thinker, flowing, tapping into your muse and creating whatever whim comes to you. But then having a commission, it's like you have rules. There's expectations. So describe the difference between doing art for yourself and doing it for someone else.
Okay, well, doing it for someone else. That's what I'm doing right now. I do pet
Hmm.
portraits.
Uh-huh.
It's funny because it all started out with my brother and my sister-in-law opening up their very first veterinary clinic. They're in
Cool.
Laredo. They're called Laredo Pet Vet. If you're ever in the
Nice.
area, that's the place to go. And I'm not just saying that because she's my sister-in-law.
Of course
Uh,
not. Mm-mm.
no, but it's great. It is like state of the
Yeah.
art. They really know what they're doing. So they were opening up their first clinic, and I thought I need to give them something. And what can I give them? I decided to create a pet portrait for them to have in their clinic. I thought it would be fun. It's
Hmm.
it's got meaning behind it. It's a family pet, and they won't have those. Nothing against digital art at all, but most veterinary clinics have digital prints of just any random, pet that doesn't, it's
Right.
not part of the family. And um,
There's
I
no
just thought
story
it would
there.
be, yeah, exactly. It would be a nice icebreaker, for their
Hmm.
clients because they were,
Sure.
really anxious and excited about it. So it was a gift. And then it kind of just evolved into, hey, now I need one for every room, and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. So then, it got a little bit, exciting, and I was a little stressed out because they're like, I want my dog now, and I want, my cat, and so it has to look
Yeah.
like their pet. And
Yep.
um, I really enjoy it though because I feel like it's especially with dogs and pets that have passed away. I feel like it
Mm.
provides healing for
Hmm.
them, and I really love to be part of that. I really love to make people feel good and be happy. So that's you know it really is a driving force behind that, creating pet
Yeah.
portraits.
That's a
But
really
yeah,
interesting point with the digital versus like a commissioned work. It's like if somebody, like I just imagined as you described it, someone walking and be like, "Oh, is this your pet?" No, that's stock footage. Like,
Right.
we
Stock
just
photos.
Googled
Yeah.
dog we just hung that up. Yeah, there's definitely like a lack of authenticity and story, and so for a business, I think that's a great idea. Um,
Yes. Now they have one in
yeah,
every room. They're really happy, and I created a bigger piece for him recently because they're expanding their clinic, and that one was great. That was like 3 by 4 feet, big.
wow,
It's a huge piece, so it's really exploring and coming out of the comfort of tiny little canvases into something massive,
yeah,
and yeah. So
yeah,
to get back to your question, yeah, it is a little bit more stressful to do
hmm,
work for others because you really have that expectation and you really want to provide something that they love and they're going to cherish for the rest of their lives. So that's the only difference. And then when it's for yourself, you kind of explore your feelings. You kind of get in
mm,
there, get deep, and you have like a freedom, to just kind of express yourself. And yeah,
yeah,
it's very different.
yeah. Um, yeah, I had another question. On that note, so what do you love? Just what do you love the most about art?
I love connecting with people. I love
Mm,
creating something that is going to evoke emotion, and I love someone saying, "Hey, I felt that," or I really love this painting," and finding a significance, between each other with it. I
yeah,
feel it's almost like people who write music, and they kind of pour their heart out on lyrics, and they write poetry, and then you have someone listen to it and they connect, like really they listen to it for
yeah.
a long time, they connect deep, with it. That's kind of what I strive to do. That's what I want
That's
to do,
awesome.
yeah.
I definitely feel that in what I do with comedy and music, and so I can definitely relate to that. So I remembered my question. It was, so as you're doing these commissioned jobs, it's,
Hmm.
I feel like with art, it's kind of, once you start heading down that direction, it's hard to change direction. So do you kind of, are you updating the client as you go with like the pencil, with the outline, or is it they just see the finished product and you have your fingers crossed? Like, you know?
Yeah, that would be really, oh no, I would be an anxious mess. No, I kind
Okay,
of I guide them through it. I
got
show
it.
them, hey, here's the outline. What do you think
Right,
about the background color? I kind of, provide
right.
some progress, right? And I
All
also
right.
post it online. I post it on Facebook,
So you
and I
get
ask
feedback.
them, yeah, I get
Yeah,
feedback. Yes, definitely.
yeah,
Like most of the time they say, almost all the time they say,
yeah,
hey, I'm leaving it up to you. You choose the color, you choose, the picture, and
yeah.
that's fun, but it's
Sure.
also, no, it is fun. It's fun both ways, when they pick their photo and
Yeah,
when they let you pick, it's the same thing. It's great.
yeah,
I'm just excited for them to see the finished product. And, when I email that last painting or the last picture of their painting and say, hey, this is it. What do you think? And I'm just waiting, like to
yeah.
hear back from them. Like, are you going to be okay with it? Like, do you like it? That's exciting. And then when they say that, it made them
They
cry,
love
or
it.
that they're, yes,
Oh,
that makes me feel so good. So I
that's
look
the
forward to those
best.
moments. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, so
Yeah.
cool. So um what is the next kind of 5 years look like for you for your art? What are you doing shows, or is that kind of where you go? Like, what's the path look like for someone, a breakout artist that just got featured on a local magazine? Where do you go from there?
Yeah. Where do I go from here? Well, I didn't even know I was going to be doing this last year. I had reached out to an artist. Her name's Eugenia Garcia. She's a local artist in Fort Bend.
Hmm.
And I read an article about her on this magazine, and I connected with her like immediately. She was also a CPA. I'm a
Hmm.
CPA. I really, her article struck me, and I reached
Yeah.
out to her, and she and I started following each other, and I was showing her some of my work because I had just started, doing pet portraits, and
Hmm.
she's the reason I even joined the art league. she told me, hey, she saw one of the big painting of my brother's dog, and she said, you should enter that into the art show. And
Wow.
I went against every fiber in my being, to say, no, it's okay, and I said, yeah, you know what, that's a great idea. Let me go for it.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning. And now I know they have 2 annual art shows, and it
Mm.
features all local artists in the Fort Bend area. Now all of Houston has their own like leagues. They have like I think 15 or 17 leagues in all of
Hmm.
Houston. So they all have their own respective art shows.
Yeah.
And I foresee me continuing to do that because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you get to meet a lot of other local artists, and can inspire each other, and just it's
Yeah.
fun. They're so supportive. It's a great group. It's really a
That's
great group of
awesome.
people. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's it does help when you step outside your comfort zone and there's someone there that you can relate to, on other
Yeah.
levels. It kind of like, well, if they can do it, maybe I can do it. I've been in that
Hmm.
same situation in my life. So that's amazing. It's amazing you made that
Yeah.
connection with her and that she was you received it and you guys kind of kind of helped each other. So let's talk about Alejandro, your son. What's special about Alejandro?
Alejandro, he is currently 10 years old, and he
Hmm.
is on the autism spectrum, and he is somewhat nonverbal. We still don't have, full-blown conversations. That's
Hmm.
every parent's dream, to talk to your child. And but he talks to me in different ways. He talks to us in different ways. We've picked up on his, Alejandroisms, like what is
Yeah.
making him uncomfortable, like what makes him happy, what are his challenges. And
Hmm.
yeah, so that's Alejandro he's a beautiful kid. He's so unique,
Yeah.
and that's what we all strive to be, unique, right? So
Sure.
he is so unique and sweet, and yeah,
He
he's
is.
great.
So, we've talked a lot about this in the past, and there's just that moment, and you shared this with me, you and your husband. That moment when you were at the doctor's office and you get that diagnosis for the first time, and this is
Yeah.
something that so many families go through. Um, can you help kind of explain what that's like?
Yes. So what does that feel like? Well, ooh, um, it's hard to hear, the words. It's really difficult to hear the doctors um, tell you everything your child will not be able to do, you know?
Mm.
And it hurts, and it kind of like erases all of those expectations you had, right? Because when you're pregnant and you're thinking, oh, I can't wait to have my child, this is what we're going to do, this we're going to do that, we're going to
Right.
go to music school. That was all, like, Chris and I were both we were both in music in high
Yeah.
school, and I think my husband, pursued it all the way through college. So that was a big, part of our life, and we wanted to give that to him. Little did he know, right? Like, we're already
Yeah.
planning his
All
future,
planned.
right? Right. So it's a hard pill to swallow. Like, they tell you all these things, like, oh, he's never going to speak again. He'll
Right.
never, be independent. So
Mm.
that's a really difficult position to be in. And I think, looking back now, I wish I had not reacted so, like, with so much grief, because they were wrong about a lot of things, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact that
Yeah.
he can talk, like, he expresses his needs and wants,
Hmm.
and we call him our
Yeah.
rock star, because he's like one word, he's like water, TV.
Make
Um,
it so.
but right, but he expresses himself and he can
Yeah.
speak, so they
Yeah.
were wrong
Yeah.
about a
Yeah.
lot of things. And
Mm.
but it is hard, and you do have to let go of everything that you had, planned. And so you do have a
Yeah.
grieving process, and that's normal. You have a grieving
Sure.
process. And um but there's a lot of beauty in being, imperfect, and that's something that I've learned. And he's been like my best teacher, because he has taught
Mm.
me to let go of things that you can't control. right?
for
And he's
sure.
taught me to appreciate all the little things that go right, or the unexpected victories, like
So
those are,
easy to ignore all the stuff going
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of puts things in perspective, like all the important things. So I
Yeah.
feel very fortunate to have that, and I feel
Hmm.
sorry, and for people that can't experience that, kind of like humility, like it's a humbling experience, and it's
Definitely.
great. Yeah.
So, what were some of the sort of breakthrough moments in Alejandro's growth? Like looking back, what are those moments that were like, you were surprised by?
Oh, there's many, many. There's
I'm
many, but the ones that
sure.
really yeah, the ones that stick out are like the first time that he said hi to someone, and it was his hairdresser. We had been going to her for years, and
Yeah.
I would always say hi, Alejandro, but nothing. Right? It was just pure
No.
quiet.
Yep.
And this time, we walked in, and I said, "Say hi," and he's like, "Hi," and we were both floored. I mean, and her
Yeah.
reaction, right, was what made it even more special. Like
Yeah.
we were both shocked, and she celebrated along with me. So that was so cool. We were crying. I mean, it was great.
Oh man.
Um,
I'm
the
sure for him
second
too,
one,
that
yeah,
positive reinforcement, like, well, that got an interesting
what?
reaction. Yeah.
It's funny. We never heard it again. Like it took for a long time to hear
Yeah.
that. He may have,
Maybe
I
it
don't know if
scared
it was
him.
too much. Yeah, it was a little too much for him. But the second one is um, the bond that he formed with my husband. We had
Mm,
struggled for a long time with that because, when you're a dad and you have a son and you're thinking, oh man, I can't wait to play ball with him, or we're going to go
mm,
fishing, or we're going to do
yeah.
jujitsu together, or we're going to do all these, Alejandro is, not your typical child. So he had a lot of sensory issues that we had to work around. And I remember the day that my husband and I decided, hey, I think it's time for him to do something with you and bond, and let's
Yeah.
let's try let's give it a shot. Let's do jujitsu because that was my husband's love. He loves jujitsu.
How
It's
old was he around this time,
I
roughly?
want to say it was probably around 7,
Yeah.
or just turning 6. Maybe
Hmm.
it was 7. I think it was 7. He, he went with him for the first time.
Yeah.
And I remember watching them leave together and being an anxious mess because I was with him like all the time, and
Right.
so watching them leave together and trusting that my husband was going to be okay because Ale was, you know, he was, it was unexpected.
It's
Like his
it's a
behavior,
new
you just never know.
environment.
A new
Yeah.
environment, new place, barefoot
Yeah.
on a mat, all that stuff.
So much.
Um, so he went for it, and he continued going in his classes, and it was just so beautiful to see them bond. And
Mm,
one day I saw them practicing, and we were at our in our kitchen, and I saw my husband tell Alejandro, hey, sit on me, let's do jiu-jitsu, hug, and I think that's what it was called, or it was called something else. I can't remember the exact term. But I saw him almost like hold him, and he was hugging him, and they were in an embrace, but it was a jujitsu
mm,
move, right? And I said, I want to do that, you know. And
yeah.
Chris is like, okay, well, sit down, and let's get him to do the move on you. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, this is my first hug, like this is my
Yeah.
first hug. And it may have been a jujitsu move for Alejandro, but it meant a world to me, because I felt his
Mm,
heart beating against mine. And it was just so beautiful because he doesn't like touch, right? So it's kind of hard
yeah.
to, get him to hug, so that was a breakthrough moment.
Mm.
It was beautiful. So I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I mean, to hug your
Excuse me.
son for the first time at 7,
Yeah.
that's a long time coming.
Yes, it
And,
is. Just like him, calling me mom, that's also, it was around the same time, it's
that's a big
a
one.
long time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it was worth it.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Oh, so I mean, another thing that I think is important for people to kind of understand is, um, having a special needs child is obviously very difficult, um, as an individual, but also in a relationship. It there's just a lot of challenges that go along with it. And I was looking up a very depressing statistic that the divorce rate among parents of special needs children is like 87%, which is,
Wow.
yeah. So
Wow.
I would love to hear, any advice or tips you have for maybe young parents who are heading out on this down this path, this adventure, and maybe some tips on
Yeah.
how to keep things, you know, together.
Yes, I will say it's not easy, right?
Sure.
It's definitely not easy, and you're talking about two different personalities uh, absorbing the news of your, once, perfect, vision of what your future was going to be. So,
Yeah.
we need to understand that we're all different. That's one, and that we process things differently, and to give each other the space that you need to come to terms with our new, the new normal, and basically to know that you can't give up. You have a child who is now even more dependent on you, and you both have to work at it. So, and know that there's just no room for giving up. You got to wake up the
Yeah.
next day, you got to think of something new to do, and if this is not working out, you're both going to work on something together, and give each other roles, like the
Hmm.
jujitsu, like that's Chris's life and world with Alejandro, and give them the space, and know that they're not going to do things the way that you want them to do, but they're going to do
Hmm.
like just kind of like have a
Be
meeting ground, and
flexible.
then be
Hmm.
flexible. Yeah, you have to be very, very flexible,
Yeah.
and just know that things are never going to be perfect, and it's
Right.
okay.
Something
Yeah.
you just said reminds me of, you got to just keep trying new things. You actually published a book that tells the tale of you, Claudia, trying to get Alejandro to eat. Can you tell us
Yes.
the
Oh my
morning the
God.
morning of that
Ah,
the book was written from real life?
the morning that the idea sprung into my husband's head, because
Yes.
I did not find it funny at all.
I didn't know
So
that.
no, it was definitely not a laughing matter at that point. But
Yeah.
it's funny. We're kind of going through the same thing again, but I digress. Let's go back to that day.
Sure.
So Alejandro, with autism, they have some feeding issues. They get very picky. Sensory.
Hmm.
It all. It's a big problem for them. When it comes to food, because if the smell's off, if the color's off, if the texture's off, it's just they're just not going to eat. They just
Yeah.
won't, you know. And I remember I was at my wit's end, and I was trying everything, and he was just not wanting anything other than bacon and blueberries, right? So here I am that
Yeah.
morning, cooking up a storm. I made French toast. I made pancakes. I made it was like a Pinterest dream, right? Like on our table, and I'm sitting there, with tears in my eyes, like freaking out, because I'm just
Oh,
like, oh my God, I'm failing, like as a parent. I can't get my son to eat anything other than bacon. So he's just sitting there, just eating bacon, and the whole table's full of food. And out comes Chris,
what did you
and he's,
have? Tell me, what
what
was
were
laying
okay?
out in this
It was like
spread?
it was like French toast. We had pancakes. We had just plain toast. We had all kinds of cut up fruit, bananas. We had roll ups, cinnamon rolls, like with kind of French toast roll ups. I mean, I tried everything I could think of
Yeah.
that I found, that I had in my pantry. Cereal,
Hmm.
dried cereal, everything. Um, Out comes Chris, and he must have been having a great morning. He walks out, and he's like, "Good morning," and there I am, just like, "Ah," what's so good
Not
about it,
today.
right? He comes
You
out,
take your
and
good
he's,
attitude out of here. Yeah.
yes, yes, go to work. So he
Yeah.
comes out, and
Yeah.
he's just like, "Wow, oh my gosh, look at this." It's so,
What?
look at all
Yeah.
this food, and he's so happy, and he's sitting there, and he's all excited to eat, because there's so, I mean, it was a spread, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and I'm in tears, and then he's like, "This is it. This is our book," because we have been talking about wanting to
Oh,
write
Chris.
a book,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
This is it.
yeah.
We found it. This is what we're going to write about. And I did not think it was funny at all at that time. But, after a couple of days went by, I thought, you know what, it is a great idea because there's so many families out there that can relate to it. And so we both sat down together and we started, busting out rhymes. And it was a lot of fun, to
Hmm.
write it together. And it was almost healing, because we
Mm,
kind of found humor in it, and
sure.
yeah. And the cool thing is when we do go to book fairs, we get to meet all these other families that have kiddos on the spectrum, and they all relate to it, and we exchange,
Totally.
information. We cry together, we like
Right.
make friends, and we kind
Oh,
of spread the word of like just not giving up. You just can't, you just can't give up. So
yeah, and I think there's also, and this I'm familiar with this in helping like alcoholics. It's this like terminally
mm,
uniqueness where you feel like you're the only person going through this, and nobody
yeah.
can relate to you.
Mm-hmm.
And taking that and putting it out in the world, and I've done this in very different situations, you attract like people. I mean, that's how we
Mm-hmm.
met, really.
Yeah.
I aired my issues out to the community, and then all the other people that understood me, like your family, were like, "Hey," And so it is this it's this nice way to sort of attract people on the same frequency as you, that you can,
Yes.
that you're not going through it alone. And so I would encourage people, anyone listening who's having a similar situation, like talk about it, share it with your friends and family, and you'd be surprised who else out there is dealing with the same thing. So from there, and this is a few years back, 2 or 3 years since you published the book.
Yes, I think it was 2019. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
So
2019.
yeah, and you've
Oh, I have the book right here.
yeah, let's see it. Yay. So can you flip it open a little bit? Let us see the
Yes,
inside. Let's get
I'll
a
show
peek.
you the I'll show you the
Could you read some
spread.
of it? Could you like pick a page and read it for us? Would that be
Oh
cool?
yeah, let's see. Let's
Love to
see.
hear it.
Okay, this is a cute part. So it says,
Yeah.
Alejandro, let's get serious. You are making mommy delirious. You can't go off to school without a good breakfast. Now let's sit down and settle this. And then it kind of goes through all the food that I
Yeah.
cooked.
Can I
And
see
there's
can we see this? There's a
Alejandro.
spread.
Yeah, he's not
All right,
happy.
I want to see you and Chris. I know that you guys
Oh
went back and
yes.
forth. I
Okay.
remember
Oh,
Chris was going back and forth on how he looked. So let's see it.
okay. Okay. Let's see. I'll find it.
That's got to be an interesting. I've never been in a situation where I had someone like cartooning me. There he is. There she is. There's
Yeah,
the
he didn't
family.
like
I
the
love it.
first version. He said that he looked like a salamander. I'm like, what? Salamander of all the things. So
Hey,
cute.
it's tough commissioning art. There he
Yes.
is.
Yes. It was
um,
fun. Oh.
yeah, no, and I think that's. I mean, going back to the relationship you have with your husband, you guys having these. I mean, it's a very cathartic process of taking a struggle and like creating a piece of art, a story, a something to share with other people, and it gives you kind of
Yes.
something. I mean, that's got to be. I know you guys were featured on Fox 26 Morning Show during Autism Awareness Month in April.
Yeah.
I guess it was last year before,
I think it's
and
been a couple years. Yeah, like maybe 3 or 4 years. Well, since
and
maybe it was 2019. Yeah, I think it was
okay, yeah.
2019.
And
Hmm.
so, and I'll show a little clip of it, but
Sure.
you guys shared the book. I mean, so it's like, it's so cool that it's become a vehicle for so much good, and kind of, I think the other people in a similar situation. There's so many families out there with very similar struggles, to
Hmm.
have something they can relate to, and to support you. And where can people buy this book? Can I go on?
Oh,
Is it on Amazon?
yes, you can find it on Amazon, and we actually just got it translated to Spanish this year. So
Awesome.
they're both on Amazon. Yeah, you
That's
can find it on
amazing.
Amazon.
So, Alejandro and the Bacon Breakfast. You can Google that on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon and buy it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so, oh, another thing that occurs to me is there's also, and this kind of ties into, um, just the struggle of families going through, with any special need child. But what are the financial,
Oh my gosh.
issues that
Yeah.
are, I mean, yeah, like it's not, it's expensive. I mean, there's a lot of therapy. So talk to me about that. Tell me about that side of things.
Wow. Well, yeah, it is very expensive. My husband has the actual statistic on cost, and I really, to me, I'd rather not focus on it. But
Sure.
it is way more expensive than having a typical child, because you do have all these therapies and you have to try them all because you don't know which one's going to work, right?
Right.
And then some schools obviously are not capable of teaching your child, so you have to look elsewhere and look for private schools, and so that's already starting like a college tuition at age 10,
Yeah.
for the rest of their life, because that's
Yeah.
just the way it is, and so yeah, we are faced with a really huge of you know um, challenge. All
Sure.
families with special needs kids, they all experience that, and some are, are single families, and
Mm-hmm.
man, I just
It's tough.
there's the good thing is that there are a lot of nonprofits here in Houston that you can reach out to
Yeah.
apply for a grant, apply for financial aid, and they kind of help you out with that.
That's
So it's
great.
like there's a couple that pop in my head on my head. I'm thinking of No Autism,
Mm-hmm.
KNOW Autism, and then there's Hope for Three. There are also nonprofits that you can reach out to get some help, because it does get pretty expensive. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Talk to me about the community. What is the autism community
Oh, I
like? I mean,
love our
yeah.
community. Yeah,
Tell me
we're
about it.
all cool. Yeah.
We're the coolest.
Perfectly imperfect, and we love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I feel like they're all so, the majority of them, I want to say like maybe 90% of people in the community are open,
Hmm.
and they are giving, and they have been humbled also, and
Yeah.
they are, quick to help you out of a situation, and they don't judge you because they've been
Right.
there,
Right.
and it's just a great community to be in. It really is. They're real, you know, and
Totally.
and and that's what I
All
love
the
about it.
ego's
Yeah.
gone at this
Oh,
point,
totally.
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
like,
surviving. Yeah, you're just
yeah.
surviving, and it's great because you have each other, and it's just
Yeah.
wonderful. It is,
It's
and they
beautiful.
all help out. They give out resources. They meet you. Like Chris and I are very, very upfront. Like we go right up to people, like anywhere we see that they have a child that resembles or that seems to be on the spectrum, and we immediately
Yeah.
start talking to them.
I
Most
love
of
it.
them are very, happy to you know
Discuss.
join the conversation. Some are a little bit more reserved, and I don't blame them, because it is,
Sure.
it's a hard thing to talk about, But
Sure.
yeah, the majority are great. It's a great community.
That's awesome. So you touched on this earlier, but you're also a cancer survivor.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
when were you diagnosed?
Oh wow. Okay, I was diagnosed, I believe I was 37. I was 37. Alejandro was 8 months
Wow.
old. Yeah, and that was
Wow.
horrific. Yeah.
Oh,
That
double
was
whammy.
just yeah. Talk about being through the mud, right? Yeah, he
Right.
was 8 months
Yeah.
old. Yeah, so it's crazy because here I was, a
Just
new
adjusting.
mom. Yeah, new
Yeah.
mom, and then you're given this news, and you're thinking, oh wow, like I just brought this child into this world, and I might not be around to see him, right? Because
Oh,
the statistics, what they were telling us, it was pretty aggressive. I mean, it was a nightmare. It was an
I
absolute
bet.
nightmare. And what's crazy about it is after all of that was done, and then it's like chemo, and you're going through surgeries after surgeries, and
Hmm.
you're half of what you were, when you started. Your whole world's upside down, and
Sure.
you lost your hair. I mean, you're just, it really. it really changes your perception on life, what is important, and who the
How
people that
so?
you, God, like petty things are just,
Yeah.
you know, it's something that you laugh at, like you're just like, wow,
Right.
I used to worry about this,
Yeah, it used to
like
bother
that.
me.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm just happy I can get out of bed today. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it just puts things in perspective. You really appreciate life, appreciate the people that you love and the people around you and the ones that,
Mm.
are encouraging. And yeah, like I feel like yeah, it's a blur now, but it's a very difficult thing, especially for caregivers, to watch you kind of fading away. Um, but anyway, the day that I was released from all that craziness is the day that I found out Alejandro was having intractable seizures. Right, so we went from
Oof.
one crazy medical experience to another,
Yes.
and then he was diagnosed with autism, and so it was just like a snowball. It just kind of never
Yeah.
stopped. We just got really good at balancing on it now. We're
Yeah.
acrobats. We are acrobats.
Yeah.
That
Did you find that I don't know, when you're faced with the possibility that you may not be around anymore, did
right.
it change where you spent your energy and who you spent
Not
it with? And
Yeah, that's a great question. Not overnight. You know,
yeah,
it did take time and it did take years, and you have to really work hard on yourself, and you got to grow
right.
from the experience and give yourself the grace, to grow. And I
Mhm.
think, yeah, it does slowly. It really does. It could go both ways, though. You could actually kind of fall into
Pull
a
away.
hole, yeah, and pull away.
Sure.
So you really have
Sure.
to have, resilience, and you got to, you know, not take no, just get up, and you gotta get up and go
Make it
every
happen.
day, make it happen. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that the painting that I just recently did, that was I painted that because of all these struggles, you know. Um
The butterfly?
I Yes, yes. It was
Tell
like
me
it
about it.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, so it was a self-portrait,
Mhm.
and it was my first one ever that I've ever done. And I raise monarchs yearly. That's like another story. But I raise monarchs with my
Right.
son. I did it so that it could be an educational, experience for him. But really, I think it was more healing for me, because you're seeing
Mm.
these beautiful creatures go through a struggle, because half of them don't make it, and they have predators and they have all these obstacles they have to get through to, you know, even turn into a chrysalis. And then once they're a chrysalis, you still don't know if they're going to make it because the
Mm.
weather, or they're infected with parasites, and
Mm.
it's just amazing. They turn into this butterfly and then they fly off, right? So I was letting one go, and it was actually one of my worst days. Like, looking back now, I was in a really dark place, and I have this butterfly, and I'm about to release it, and it lands on me, right? It lands on my face, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, where's my phone, right? So here I am, I'm taking a photo, and I take a picture of this butterfly, and I thought, wow, this really, it really is, you know, a great image of, you know, emergence, right? Of oneself
Yeah.
and of the butterfly, and it really made me happy, and it kind of took me out of that dark place. And I thought, what better portrait to paint than that, and I'm hoping that
Wow.
someone else will look at it and it will evoke that emotion, of strength, of
Mm.
resilience, of not giving up, and that's my ultimate goal, is to have something that other people can relate to. I want to tell a story on canvas, and I want them to relate to it, and maybe, hold on to it, or take it, and make have it heal them in some way, because I
Yeah.
feel that that's important, um, as a connection,
Absolutely.
everyone.
And I'm assuming this here, but do you relate to the monarch in its struggle to survive all the things thrown at it?
Yes, I think we all do in some way, Yes,
Yeah.
but I do. I've always been attracted to them since I was a
Mhm.
kid, and I do. I see that in so many people, I think it is a very spiritual insect. A lot of people connect to it for many different reasons. Like whether it's getting over a relationship, you're kind of like
Yeah.
the butterfly. I'm re-emerging. I'm born again.
Yeah.
Or like what I went through. What we're going through. It's and then also it's a big part of the Mexican culture.
Okay.
They believe that the monarchs are souls of their ancestors coming by, to say hello. It's like a Dia de los Muertos.
How cool.
That just happened
Yeah.
a couple, last week. So, um,
Nice.
yeah,
That's timely for you to
great.
be on the cover.
Yeah, I think so. Right? that was
So
that was perfect timing.
if we may, because your husband's one of my favorite people. Um, Tell me a little bit about what what makes Chris special as a father and a husband.
Wow. Oh, do we have time for that? He's got he is so positive,
Yeah.
and but he also is able to relate, and have empathy, and he just has this fire, like he just does not give up, you
Yeah.
know, at all. And I know that because when we were dating, I tried to leave a couple times, and he was like, "No, no,
No,
this
this
is
is
not
not
going
the
to happen,
story.
Claudia. No, Claudia, it's not going to happen. Yeah, this is not our future. No, he's very
Yeah.
stubborn, but in a good way, and he's
Yeah.
very persistent. And if you say no, that something cannot be done,
Watch
it's
him
like you're lighting a fire. Yeah, watch
for sure.
out because he's gonna
Yeah.
get it done. And so he's just he's my rock. He helps me out a lot, and he's a wonderful dad. He's a wonderful father. Um, he's perfect for us.
Yeah. I mean, just as his friend, he has a very. I mean, I don't know if I would have gone into comedy if it wasn't for Chris. I mean, you were part of a lot of
I
those
remember that.
conversations. I was
Yeah.
like, I remember like 2 years ago, Chris is like, I can see it now. I can see you at the improv. I can see the Netflix special. I mean, he just paints this picture, and then it's like, all right, okay, I'll go do the thing. So yeah, he's
Right,
such a
right. And then you
great. He's
start going sideways. He's like, no, 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 no. You
no, no,
got
no,
to get your
no, no.
focus.
Focus,
Yeah.
focus. Yeah. Eye on the prize. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I cherish his
He's a great
friendship,
father.
and he's such a great guy. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess to finish things off,
Mhm.
where are all the ways that people who hear this and are inspired, they want to support you, participate, follow you? Where are all the places they can go to do that?
Awesome. Well, I have a website. It's called petsimmortal.com. I'm also on Facebook at petsimmortal8, the number 8. And I'm also on Instagram, and it's at petsimmortal. So those are my
Awesome.
3, platforms.
And on your website, petsimmortal.com, do you currently do commission work? What can people come to you? What sort of things will you paint for them?
Well, I can paint anything really. I can, I have a couple of variety of paintings on there that they can look at. I do pets, especially the ones that, you know, they don't have to necessarily have crossed, the Rainbow Bridge. They
Yeah.
can be a lot.
Yeah,
You
sure.
can send me those too,
Yeah, yeah.
and so yeah, I can pretty much do anything, anything.
Awesome. All right. Well, this has been amazing. You did so well. Like, you didn't seem nervous at all. So, this is a huge success.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being on. I think you're an amazing person. I'm so happy that I met your husband and you and your son, your family. And thank you so much for sharing, who you are and what you're doing on my little podcast. So, thank you,
Thank you
Claudia.
for
Hope you have a
having
good
me.
day. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.